Hello everyone, it's Shalia. Welcome. As promised, today we are going to walk through how to unlock Aurora, so buckle in and let's get started. If you remember at the end of last week's video, after unlocking Maleficent, she told us that the last person that saw Princess Aurora before she disappeared was Flynn. So the first thing we need to do is find Flynn and talk to him. Once you find him, you ask him if he can help you find Aurora and if he remembers anything about her disappearance. He says he does remember her giving him some pages from her diary to keep safe for her. Unfortunately, he remembers burying them when he was still a wolf and doesn't know where he buried them. He does, however, remember 3 places that he may have buried them. One is near a waterfall on the west side of the bind, one is near a beanstalk root by Maleficent's castle, and one is by some water in the Elysian fields. Your next mission is to dig up the 3 missing pages of Princess Aurora's diary, and these are pretty easy to find. You're going to head on over to the waterfall on the far left side of the bind if you are looking at it from the water, and it's the dig spot right near the cave. Just dig the dig spot and grab the diary page. A memory will come out that is missing some words because Flynn as a wolf chewed up the page. The hint tells you that you must venture inside the pages of course they're chewed, and only there will I find, ugh, it's chewed there too. If it's, we're missing so much information. My aunts will protect me from, and the rest of the page is too chewed up to read. Now we're just going to head on over to the right side of the water in the Elysian fields, while you're facing that little pond, and dig up that dig spot. You will receive a second memory, and this one is also chewed up, but you can see some of the hint. My aunts tell me that I can't trust, we can't see who, but how could she possibly? And of course the rest is too chewed up to read. These hints are horrible, aren't they? Now you're gonna head on up to Maleficent's castle in the Beanstalk Marshes and dig the dig spot on the far left side of her castle if you are facing the castle, and this is where the beanstalk root is coming out of the water. You will now have the 3rd clue or memory or diary page. This diary page says that my aunts and I have to come up with a plan. We'll agree to, no information. And if we discover that, and unfortunately, the rest of the journal is too chewed up to read. Now, once you've found all 3 journal entries, go talk to Flynn and tell him what you think they mean. You tell him that she was suspicious of someone, and Flynn says it must have been Maleficent. And then he surprises us by telling us he was not the last person to see Aurora. The Lorekeeper was. And this will complete the missing princess quest with Flynn, and you now need to go talk to the Lorekeeper and get to the bottom of everything. And with that, a Hero of Ink and Paper quest will begin. You now ask the Lorekeeper if she saw Aurora before she disappeared, and the Lorekeeper said she had forgotten, but then she remembers that Aurora disappeared into the tapestry behind her. And then the Lorekeeper goes into detail about the tapestry and how Aurora entered it. She goes on to say that when someone enters the tapestry, they go to a world where anything is possible. She also tells us that she sent Aurora into the tapestry because she was certain that the cause of the never after would lie within, and she was only supposed to be in there long enough to solve the problem and come back to the Vale, but that did not happen. So after you chat about Aurora for a little bit with the Lorekeeper, she tells you to step up to the tapestry and push your way inside, but when you interact with it, absolutely nothing happens. So you have to go back to the Lorekeeper at this point. She then tells you that she believes the tapestry won't let you enter because it doesn't see you as the hero of the story yet. She goes on to tell you that Aurora was able to go in because she had found a tome that explained how to become the hero of the Vale. And you also find out that there are 2 volumes of the tome, and they are hidden somewhere in the Vale, and she left a note in the secret chamber under the bridge in the bind that describes where to find them. Now we need to head on back to the bind and find Aurora's notes in the secret chamber. Now that we're here, you're going to go over to the left of the wheel and you will see a sparkly page on the floor. Just pick that up to reveal where to look for the 2 volumes of the tome. Now you will need to look near the fallen fortress's crumbling walls, and then near the windmill in Mythopia near the entrance to Mount Olympus. So head on up to the fallen fortress in the Ever After and go across the bridge into the ruins. Now, of course, I had to clear out all the inkies from before the update because they all seem to always spawn here. Thank goodness they have fixed that in this last update. Once this area is cleared out, if it needs to be, go back to the left of the gateway and pick up the 1 volume of the tome on the ground. Now, once we have this tome, we are then going to head over to Mount Olympus in Mythopia and find the big windmill. Now, that's going to be to the left as you cross the big bridge from the Ever After to Mythopia. I took a shortcut through fast travel to get over to my Mount Olympus, of course, and then once I finally finally got to the windmill, I had to clean up all the inkies again because this was another problem that was an issue before. But it is now fixed, thank goodness. So now you'll find the second volume of the tome right in front of the windmill. Pick that up and head back to the Lorekeeper. Give the 2 volumes of the tome to the Lorekeeper, and she will read them and then tell you the important information that you need to know, kind of like the Cliff Notes, so you don't have to spend months reading thousands of pages. She tells you again that to pass through the tapestry, you'll have to convince it that you are the hero of the Vale. And to do this, you'll need to dress the part, and you'll need to find something from each beloved character you've met on your journey, which is basically all of the characters from the Vale. So it'll be Maleficent, Hades, Flynn, and Merida. And then you'll need to find items from around the Vale that are infused with story magic. And it doesn't matter what order you talk to the villagers. I'm going to go ahead and start with Flynn since he's still hanging out with me. So then you're going to ask Flynn to give you a piece of fabric or something like that from him. Of course, he doesn't want to rip his vest, but he wants to help you find Aurora. So he eventually rips off a piece of the inside of his vest where no one can see it and gives it to you. Now you're going to go find your next villager. In my case, I went after Merida. And once you find Merida, you can ask her for a scrap of fabric and she gladly hands you a piece off an old family quilt that she apparently just carries around with her. Next, I went to Hades since he made it so convenient for me. Hades is very helpful as well because he's afraid of being erased again. So he gives you a piece of fabric from the hem of his robe. Now we have one final villager to find, and that would be Maleficent, and she is hiding out in the library, so let's head there. Once you get there, you will have a nice little chat with her about saving Aurora, which she does think is ironic that she's helping to do this, and she gives you a strip of cloth that she ripped from the hem of her raiments. Now that you have all the fabric, you will now need to find items around the Vale infused with story magic. Now this one is a little tough. I happen to have everything I needed except for the Posidonia, which was really easy to get by fishing in the Elysian fields in the areas where there are no bubbles. You only need to find 4 each of the rest. The tail cone flowers can all be found in the bind. They are the ones that are on little books. You'll need 4 each of the yellow, the blue, the olive green, and the beige flowers. The blue snippets can also be found and caught in the bind. The green frog snippets are in the Wild Woods and Teapot Falls in the Ever After, and the red demon snippets are found in the statue's shadow in Mythopia. Now once you've collected everything, go ahead and craft the Hero of the Vale costume at your crafting table. Once it is crafted, head on back to the library and give the costume to the Lorekeeper. She will then give it a little story magic and give it back to you to put on. Go ahead into your wardrobe and click on the Lorekeeper icon at the top and change your outfit. Now I struggled with this one because I didn't like the boots with it that I had on, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to wear the jeans and the cape. In the end, I kept the jeans and put on some boots that matched a little better to the costume. And once you are very happy with how you look, now you're going to go up to the tapestry and interact with it again. This time you will have no issues going through it. Now you can explore the storybook world, which is pretty cool. Now go ahead and remove the inkies from this area. Once the inkies blocking your path are removed, head on into the ballroom. It looks like a ballroom, so that's what I'm calling it. And once you're in that ballroom, you will get a cutscene that shows all the areas that you will need to explore to find and unlock Princess Aurora. So the goal in the ballroom is to get to the door at the back of the room and start the ink-stained world quest. I did a thorough inspection of everything in this room, and I have already gotten a few of these paintings on the wall at Scrooge's, which I was absolutely hoping they'd give us, and they did. Now I'm not sure if we'll get all of these paintings, but we definitely do get some. So once you unlock Aurora, keep an eye out for those in the shop, because honestly, I didn't get any Sleeping Beauty stuff until I actually unlocked her, by the way. And as you go around the hallway to the stairs, you will again need to remove the inkies blocking the way. I also removed all the inkies blocking all the other doors in this room as well. We're going to eventually need to get in there anyway. Once you're done exploring, the door you need is directly straight ahead of you from the area you just entered. When you unblock this doorway and enter through the next hallway, you will be greeted with 3 stained glass windows that represent each of Aurora's aunts. You will talk to Fauna first. Just interact with the purplish pink stained glass. They will think you are Aurora at first, and then they have their own little conversation amongst themselves, and then they will finally have a little chat with you. You find out that someone, we don't know who yet, locked Aurora up in this tower in the fairy godmother sealed Aurora away behind the door in this room to protect her from, but they can't tell you because they've all forgotten. Oh my word. Why can't they just tell us? Now they tell you that to find Aurora, you just have to pass through the door to the left. However, before you can do that, you must find their 3 enchanted gifts, which are the Sword of Truth, the Shield of Virtue, and the Cap of Song. These are really fun, by the way. I really enjoyed these little mini games or quests or whatever you want to call them. Flora now opens the door to the first chamber for you once you are done speaking with her. Just go back out into the main room and go down the steps to the right and follow the wall to the first open door. Then you're going to follow that hallway, removing inkies in your path again. And once you get to the main platform in this room, the trial of truth will begin. Of course, I can't help myself. I have to remove all the inkies and collect everything in the chest before I do anything else. Now, once you've collected everything, now you can go talk to Merryweather's window on the wall. You can't really miss it. I'm not even going to tell you where it is, because if you can't find it, I'm kidding. No, it's very obvious. It's straight ahead when you walk in. Once you are done with her, go ahead and inspect the area in the middle of the platform, and then notice we've got lights set up and items on a slider on the bottom floor. Those items will need to be pushed around to match up with the shadows. All of the puzzles will be shadow puzzles, and this is why I absolutely love these quests so much. Now, you can't move the shield at this time, but you can walk up to it and apparently through it and read what the hint says. It says, this shield refuses to budge. It seems to be held in place magically. Perhaps there's some way to break the spell using things in this room. So now that hint really isn't helpful. So the first thing I did was head on down to the bottom floor and head over to the far right corner. I removed the inkies there and then I grabbed the dragon's fire. That's exactly where the dragon's fire was. I knew there had to be something there because of all the inkies hiding it. Now you're going to take that dragon's fire over to the dragon on the slider and place the fire on the dragon just by interacting with it. Now there is a pedestal with another hint on it in front of the knight. You can read this before you head in, or don't read it at all since I'm going to tell you what to do anyway. You need to arm the knight, then you need to find the dragon's missing fire, which we already did that, and then look at the shadows to uncover the way to shield the knight from the dragon's flame. Now to arm the knight, we are looking for his arm. There are bookcases on the left side of the main floor where the dragon is. Interact with the bookcase and a secret door will open. You'll find the knight's arm straight ahead on the floor. So you're just going to go in there, pick up his arm, and then go back out and interact with the knight on the slider to put his arm back on. Once his arm is back on, you just need to move the knight and the dragon around to show the knight looking like he's holding the shield against like the dragon's fire. So to move them, you need to go into furniture mode and then back out so you can see the whole playing field. Well, don't back out completely. Now you're going to move the knight to the left on the other side of the shield so it looks like he's holding it. And once you have the knight in place, you can now move the dragon just to the right of the shield, just like I have it right here. You won't know you got it right until you back out of your inventory, but if you do it just like I did, you will have it right. Now we can back out of our inventory and you will now have proven that you're as brave and virtuous as a knight, and you can grab that shield from the upper platform. Once you have the shield, go back over to the window and give Merryweather the shield, and she says she will hold on to it for now. She then tells you she's unlocked the next chamber where you will go see and talk to Fauna, and then the Trial of Virtue quest is now complete. You can now exit this chamber and head straight across the big ballroom to the next chamber. And of course, the first thing you want to do is remove all the inkies in your way again. Once you remove all the inkies and any others you want to get rid of, go talk to the stained glass window straight ahead of you at the top platform and have a chit chat with Fauna. When you enter the room, the Trial of Truth quest will begin. Now take notice that this is also a shadow mini game, and it will work just like the other chamber. The only difference with this puzzle, as you'll learn from Fauna, is that there are little critters that are hungry, but they are afraid of the shadowy figures on the wall and won't eat. And once you put the shadows back in order, you will need to feed them, and we will be cooking in this one too. So first things first, once you are done talking to Fauna, head on down to the stage. If you go over to the middle of the top platform and look down, you can see that we have a lion, a bird cage that is open, and Mickey ears. Now the object here is to move the bird cage halves around the bird shadow and give the lion Mickey ears to make him look a little less scary. Now to do this, you will need to go back into furniture mode, just like the last puzzle, and move the cage halves halves and the Mickey ears to where they belong. You can also read the hint in front of the stage as well, but I'm just going to show you how to do this, and the hint on the pedestal really doesn't do us any good. So we're going to move the cage halves so that they cover the bird completely. Make sure the cage halves cover that bird completely. Don't even leave a little tail out, because that's how I messed up the first time. And then you're going to move the Mickey ears so it makes the lion look like a cute, cuddly teddy bear. And again, like I said before, I got the cage wrong the first time because part of that bird's tail was sticking out. So you really need to be careful here. Otherwise, it's a really simple puzzle. And here is how your shadows should look when you get it right. And once you get it right, a little black Pegasus and a cute little bunny will appear on stage, and you will now have to cook the right meal for each one. To do this, if you haven't already, remove the inkies at the doorway to the left of the stage and go into the kitchen. You'll notice there is a table of ingredients in this room. Just grab 3 of each. That's what I do in these situations, because then we always have plenty. Once you've grabbed your ingredients, head on over to the cooking station on the left side of the door. You'll notice that there are 2 pedestals on either side of that cooking station, and the one on the left gives you hints on what meal the rabbit would like, and the one on the right gives you hints on what meal the Pegasus would like. The rabbit requires 4 ingredients, and none can include barley, wheat, onion, or rice. So the 4 ingredients that you actually need to use are the enchanted tomato, enchanted cucumber, enchanted lettuce, and an enchanted carrot. And these ingredients will make carrot salad. You would think it would be enchanted carrot salad, right? But it's not. You can take the salad out to the bunny now if you want, or just make both meals and do them at the same time. It really doesn't matter. I did mine one at a time, and I fed the bunny first just to see what would happen, and really nothing happens. Not yet. Go back into the kitchen. The Pegasus requires only 3 ingredients, and they can't include the enchanted tomato, the enchanted lettuce, the enchanted cucumber, the enchanted onion, or the enchanted rice. So the 3 ingredients you need are the enchanted barley, enchanted wheat, and enchanted carrot. And these ingredients will make just plain old barley salad. Again, why couldn't they have made enchanted barley salad? So you're just going to take that barley salad, or both meals if that's how you did it. This time, I only am feeding the Pegasus. And unfortunately, you cannot make that black Pegasus your companion yet. So once you are done feeding the cute little critters, go and pick up the sword in front of the stage. And with the sword in your backpack, head on back up to Fauna's window and give her the sword. She will also keep it for now. At this time, you will now have passed the test, and Fauna will unlock the last chamber for you. So you're going to head on out of Fauna's trial and turn left once you reach the ballroom, and go down the stairs, remove the inkies blocking the path, of course, and any others you want to remove, and then you're just going to head into the next and last trial. Once you enter this chamber, the trial of song will begin. This one is the hardest of the 3, but it was still fun. Again, this is another shadow game. Now you're going to head on over to the right of the entrance and talk to Flora's stained glass window. And as you talk to Flora, she tells you that you need to find a way to arrange the shadows of the dancers and then arrange the instruments correctly. So to do this, you're going to head on down the steps to the stage and read the clues in front. The first clue on the right tells you that the lute sounds best on the right side of the stage, and that there should be a dancer between the lute and the harp. The clue in the middle doesn't really help you. It's just the reward that you get once you've put everything back in their place, just like the 2 other trials before this. Now the clue on the left tells you that the piano notes ring truest from this side, which is the left side of the stage. The harp and the cello work best when placed beside each other, and one dancer needs to be placed between the cello and the piano. So at this point, we need to go back up the steps to where we entered the trial, and we will need to move the female dancer 1 time to the left by just interacting with it, and we'll do the same with the male dancer. We'll just move him 1 time to the right. Once they are in their right place, head back down to the stage and go into your furniture mode again to move the instruments to their rightful places, just like you did in the last 2 trials. Now, this one did take me a little while because I wasn't paying attention to the clues. And don't worry, I am going to show you the right positions. But if you want to do it on your own, make sure you write down the clues and follow them exactly. If you do it wrong when you back out of the furniture mode, if you got any of them correct, they will be checked off your quest list. The correct order is from left to right. You're going to have the piano, the male dancer, the cello, the harp, the female dancer, and then the lute. And for those of you who want to see how this one should look when everything is perfect, here is the finished product. Once you get it right, when you back out of your furniture mode, you will now be able to pick up the Cap of Song. So you're going to grab that Cap of Song and take it back to Flora's window. When you give Flora the cap, she will also hold on to it and instructs you to go back to the hallway where you met all 3 of the fairy godmothers and where the door that leads to Princess Aurora's tower is. And thus ends the Trial of Song. Now the hallway to the fairy godmothers is straight ahead of you when you leave the Trial of Song chamber. So head on out of this trial, go straight ahead, and then go up the next set of steps on either side of that platform. And then you can go down that hallway. Once you get back to the fairy godmothers, talk to Flora in the middle, and she will tell you that you just need to wield the Shield of Virtue, the Sword of Truth, and the Cap of Song to pass through the door to Princess Aurora. And at this time, they will give you all 3 items back, and you can then go into your wardrobe under the Lorekeeper's icon and put on each item. And you'll notice it also includes the Hero of the Vale coat, just in case you took it off, but I was too lazy to do that, so I still have mine on. Once you are all geared up, the door to the tower will now be open and you can head the whole way up the stairs and meet Princess Aurora. And at this point, we get this awesome cutscene where we see her dress starts out as blue and then the ink drops change it to pink, which I absolutely love the pink, by the way. Let me know down in the comments which one you like better, the pink or the blue. And we now have pink and purplish blue inkies too. I think these are really pretty. Now, once the cutscene ends, talk to Aurora and she's going to tell you that the Lorekeeper was behind everything. If it hadn't been for her aunts, the fairy godmothers, the Lorekeeper would surely have sent her away to be erased. Obviously, we are in shock because we thought the Lorekeeper was our friend. Oh my word. So while you are talking to Aurora, you hear fluttering of pages and you both realize the Lorekeeper has left her perch in the library and has come for her revenge. And you realize that she used you to get to Aurora, and then you'll see another cutscene as the Lorekeeper flies up the staircase. The Lorekeeper is absolutely angry at you and can't stand that you have brought villains and heroes together, and she blames you for all the chaos in the Vale and the Valley. She tells you that when the forgetting happened in the Valley, that she started whispering to all the other villagers to leave Dreamlight Valley and go back to their realms where they belong. You also find out that the Never After is completely made up and it never actually really existed. She again was just playing you, gaslighting you if you will, just to get you to the Vale so she could get rid of you. And because Maleficent was starting to get suspicious of what the Lorekeeper was up to, she had to send her to the Unwritten Realms to be erased. She would have ruined everything otherwise. Now she wants you to leave Dreamlight Valley and tells you that it's time to grow up and that you can't be a kid forever. And I have news for her. You can act like a kid until you pass away at a ripe old age if you want to. She doesn't see it this way and threatens to destroy, erase the Vale and the Valley once and for all if you don't help her with her plan. And then our screen turns black and we are taken to a destroyed Vale and Valley, and the Tales That Bind quest begins. And for some reason Flynn is here, and I think it's because I was hanging out with him before I went into the Tapestry. Let me know if Flynn shows up in your Unwritten Realm. I'd love to know. Now we need to go down the steps towards the portal and talk to Aurora. You both realize that the Lorekeeper has sent you to the Unwritten Realms to be erased, and honestly, now I kind of feel bad for Flynn and Hey Hey. I think they're just truly collateral damage in this one. They basically just came along for the ride, oh my word. And once you are done talking to Aurora, head on over to the portal and jump on in it. And of course, everyone you've dragged down here with you will come along too. And basically at this point, we just need to find and talk to the Lorekeeper in every area that we have to go to. So go ahead and talk to the Lorekeeper at the fireplace. She tells you that you can't stop the erasure and that she's going to start with the oldest story you know. You have a few choices here, and I picked the first one. Mine wasn't actually a fairy tale as in Disney, but it was a story I loved, and it was not a true story. It was Charlotte's Web, and it was a tearjerker too, but my dad read it to me every night before bed when I was little, and he read it over and over again to me. I loved every minute of it. Anyway, I got sidetracked. She tells you she's going to take that away from you, and you and the Lorekeeper get into a little tiff, and then she disappears, and you have to catch 3 colorful snippets. And once you've caught all 3, you talk to Aurora and realize that these snippets must be your memory of the fairy tale, and you decide you must keep them safe so you don't lose that memory. Then a new portal will open, and you can now enter that to follow the Lorekeeper to the next Unwritten Forbidden Realm. Once you are in the realm, take a look around and realize the devastation of what the Lorekeeper has done. Then once you're done exploring, go find the Lorekeeper in the other side from where you just entered this realm. These aren't big realms, so it's really not hard to find her. You can't get lost. When you find the Lorekeeper, talk to her again. She now wants to erase the first story that ever made you cry. Of course, for me, it's the same story as earlier, but I'm not telling her that. I already have that story saved in my backpack. So now you have some more dialogue with the Lorekeeper, and honestly, at this point, I was really getting tired of the storyline. I personally think they dragged it out too long, but we do still have to play through it, so this is part of the tutorial. We're going to keep going. Once you are finally done talking to the Lorekeeper, more snippets will pop out, and you know the drill by now. You're going to have to catch those 3 frog snippets, and then another portal will open. Hop through that portal and find the Lorekeeper again. When you talk to her this time, she tells you she's getting really tired of being chased down by you. Don't worry, we're getting tired of chasing you. She asks you about the first story you ever made up. None of these answers fit with me, but I certainly played with my Barbie dolls a lot, so I figured the last answer was the closest, so that's the one I picked. And she tells you that you have to stop hanging on to things from when you were little, and you tell her that being creative isn't something to be ashamed of, and you basically stump her with this one, and she runs off to think about things. But she does leave you with 2 snippets to catch, of course. So once you catch these 2, head on over to the next portal that appears and go ahead and jump inside. Again, take a look around. I know you want to. And then go find the Lorekeeper again. And this realm isn't that big. You'll find her pretty easily. It is a little bigger than the others, but it's not that big. Once you do, she is finally starting to have second thoughts and is realizing that the stories might actually hold some value, but now she's sad because she thinks she destroyed your most precious memories and now she can't get them back. But Aurora speaks up and tells her it's not too late and that we have her stories from catching the snippets she left behind. And now we can put her story of Dreamlight Valley back together in a puzzle. And all I gotta say is thank goodness it's almost over. I'm sure that is what all of you are thinking right now, because that's what I was thinking at this point. We just need to put the story of Dreamlight Valley puzzle back together. And here is how it should look when you get it completed. Now, once you've successfully put the puzzle together, you will now earn Aurora's baby crib, and I love this item so much. I love that we now have a baby crib in our game. And once you complete the puzzle, you will be taken back to the library in the bind. We just need to talk to the Lorekeeper one last time, I hope. She's going to agree with us now that Dreamlight Valley is a place for stories to grow and be shared, somewhere we can learn and live together. She also asks for our forgiveness for almost destroying everything we've worked so hard for. Now, this one's going to be really hard to forgive, but we must do it. We also promise her that we will do everything we can to help her too. We are way too nice at this point. And then Aurora mentions that the tapestry behind the Lorekeeper needs a little update now, and the Lorekeeper totally agrees, and we are now taken to another cutscene. And just like that, the tapestry reveals our latest puzzle, and everyone is happy. And that ends the main storyline of Storybook Vale, and I'm kind of sad it's over. But after you watch the credits, and you don't have to watch them the whole way through, you can back out of them. Did you see what's coming next? So we see Flynn's wanted poster on a tree, and then the shadow of a horse, a real horse. Could it be a big horse? Or could it be the little black Pegasus that we found in the Cap of Song trial? I guess we're just gonna have to stay tuned to find out, because I'm hoping it's in one of Princess Aurora's friendship quest lines. I haven't started those yet, and I will this week. So when this video is posted, I am already gonna know that answer. Of course, once the credits and this little cutscene are all over, we now get to move Aurora into our valley. But listen, I thought this was all over too. You now have to talk to the Lorekeeper one more time. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Just keep clicking on the prompts, because at this point, that's probably all you want to do. And then you'll be able to finally bring Aurora into the Vale. And don't forget to catch the new shadowy snippets around the bind, Mount Olympus, and the Ever After, so you can complete the new puzzles, because there's a bunch more puzzles, and you want to get all of those rewards, because they are all fantastic. I have not gotten them all yet, but I have seen the glider, and everyone's going to need that. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I know these last couple videos have been really long, and I appreciate those of you who have stuck through it to the end. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and most of all, don't forget to be kind. And until next time, everyone, bye!